Crystal chandeliers cast golden light across champagne glasses and polished marble. Michael Carter, 39, a single dad in a borrowed suit, lingers at the ballroom's edge. He doesn't belong here among corporate elite, and knows it. Suddenly, Evelyn Ross, the CEO who commands headlines, storms toward him. She grips his hand, eyes blazing. "Pretend you're kissing me. For 10 minutes, please." Michael's heart pounds as cameras flash. "Stay with us. This touching story will stun you." Michael never intended to enter the St. Regis ballroom. He came as a favor, driving his friend Jake to the Pinnacle Industries gala when Jake's car died. While Jake disappeared into the kitchen, Michael stood awkwardly among Manhattan's elite, his borrowed Navy suit feeling foreign. He's a mechanic, owner of Carter's Auto Repair, hands more used to grease than champagne flutes. The opulent surroundings felt alien: marble columns, ice sculptures, conversations in measured tones of people who weigh words like currency. Across the room, Evelyn Ross moved like royalty, radiant in emerald silk, auburn hair swept elegantly. CEO of Ross Enterprises, her business decisions make headlines, every move analyzed by reporters and rivals. But Michael noticed what others missed: tension in her shoulders, smiles never reaching her green eyes. Victor Hale, her ruthless ex-fiancé and business rival, shadowed her with predatory persistence. Michael watched Victor corner Evelyn near the auction display, his voice suggesting threats disguised as conversation. Other guests pretended not to notice, unwilling to interfere between two industry titans. Evelyn's composed mask cracked as Victor's words sharpened. She glanced desperately around, searching for escape among professional peers who'd rather watch her stumble than help. That's when she saw him, this stranger in borrowed clothes, standing apart from the glittering crowd, his honest face unmarked by calculated expressions surrounding her. She strode across marble with legendary boardroom confidence, heels clicking determinedly. When she reached Michael, her hand found his with surprising strength, green eyes blazing with fear and determination. "Pretend you're kissing me," she whispered urgently, authority softened by desperation. "For 10 minutes, please." Before Michael could process what was happening, her lips met his. Camera flashes exploded like lightning, conversation stopped, and Victor's plans began crumbling. To watchers, it looked like passionate romance. To Michael, it felt like stepping into a storm that would either destroy him or transform his ordinary life completely. The kiss lasted exactly long enough to send shockwaves through the assembled crowd. When they separated, Michael saw something in Evelyn's eyes. Not calculation or performance, but genuine gratitude mixed with surprise at her own boldness. Victor retreated with barely concealed fury, his carefully orchestrated humiliation backfiring spectacularly. Around them, whispered conversations buzzed with speculation about the mysterious man who'd captured the untouchable CEO's attention. Michael's world tilted. Minutes ago, he'd been invisible. Now he stood at the center of Manhattan's most powerful social circle, cameras still flashing, reporters already crafting headlines about Evelyn Ross's shocking romantic revelation. "Thank you," Evelyn breathed, her professional composure returning like armor, sliding back into place. But her hand lingered in his just a moment longer than necessary. The remainder of the evening passed in a blur. Michael found himself seated at Evelyn's table, introduced to board members and investors as her close friend. He answered questions about his relationship with careful vagueness, following Evelyn's subtle cues. But beneath the performance, something real sparked between them. When she laughed at his honest observations about corporate pretension, when he offered his jacket as the evening air turned cool, when their eyes met across conversations filled with people trying too hard to impress, those moments felt genuine. As the gala wound down, Michael realized he'd crossed into territory he didn't understand, involving himself in conflicts beyond his comprehension. Yet watching Evelyn navigate the political minefield with grace while stealing grateful glances his way, he couldn't bring himself to regret his decision to help. After midnight, Evelyn found Michael in the parking garage, designer heels echoing off concrete as she approached his 10-year-old pickup, defiant among luxury cars. Her composure finally cracked, the polished CEO mask replaced by vulnerability. She apologized profusely, explaining Victor's systematic campaign to undermine her authority, spreading rumors about emotional instability to key investors. "He cornered me tonight, Tried to make me look weak before everyone who matters, she explained, voice trembling. I needed them to see personal strength, not just business acumen. Michael listened quietly, his honest concern touching her deeply. When she finished, he admitted he's just a single dad raising 11-year-old Sophie, knows nothing about corporate politics, but understands being cornered by overwhelming forces. His genuine humility surprised her. She hadn't expected such authenticity in her world of polished mass. Over following days, fate wove their lives together. Evelyn's Mercedes developed problems, leading her to Carter's auto repair, a garage smelling of motor oil and honest work, where Michael's expertise transformed her from intimidating CEO to customer needing help. Sophie, precocious and unimpressed by titles, chatted freely with Evelyn while her father worked. The 11-year-old asked direct questions about fancy clothes and whether wealth brings happiness. Innocent inquiries cutting through pretense more effectively than corporate interrogation. One evening, Sophie insisted Evelyn stay for dinner. They gathered around Michael's modest kitchen table. Simple spaghetti, homemade sauce, garlic bread, salad from Sophie's garden. The warmth felt foreign and wonderful to someone accustomed to catered business dinners. Everyone sees me as unbreakable, Evelyn confessed as Sophie showed her stone collections. They don't know sometimes I'm so exhausted, I barely remember why I'm fighting. Michael shared losing his wife to cancer 3 years earlier, overwhelming responsibility of raising Sophie alone, aching loneliness in their once laughing house. His honesty created safe space where Evelyn could acknowledge isolation, being constantly watched by people seeing position, not humanity. Strange warmth grew between them, trust forged from shared wounds, not networking or social positioning. Sophie created a drawing capturing what adults feared naming, 3 figures holding hands, all smiling genuinely. She presented it to Evelyn with casual pride, seeing no reason this couldn't be reality. Evelyn stared at careful crayon lines showing her not as CEO or public figure, but simply family member. For the first time in years, she imagined belonging somewhere not for achievements or wealth, but because she's loved. The picture joined Sophie's certificates on Michael's refrigerator, but Evelyn thought about it during board meetings, wondering if Sophie's innocent vision could become more than hopeful imagination. Their evening routines developed naturally. Evelyn helped with homework, listened to elementary school drama reports, learned to braid Sophie's hair into complex patterns 11-year-olds consider essential. Michael taught her about engines, honest communication between hands and mechanical systems. She ruined expensive clothes, learning basic repairs, her unguarded laughter echoing through the shop. These moments felt revolutionary to Evelyn, not being analyzed or judged, just accepted for willingness to show up, learn, belong. Michael and Sophie offered something her wealth couldn't buy, unconditional acceptance. But beneath growing happiness, shadows lingered. Evelyn's phone buzzed constantly with corporate crises. Board meetings pulled her away mid-dinner. The contrast between her two worlds grew starker daily. Sophie began asking when Eve would move in permanently. Michael wondered how long Evelyn could maintain double lives. Corporate titan by day, family member by evening. One night, watching Evelyn read bedtime stories to Sophie, Michael felt hope and fear intertwining. This felt like family, like wholeness he'd stopped believing possible. But Evelyn's world operated by rules he didn't understand, with stakes he couldn't fathom. When Sophie fell asleep, Evelyn lingered in the doorway, studying the peaceful scene. "I never knew life could feel this simple," she whispered. "Simple doesn't mean easy," Michael replied, "but it means real." Their eyes met across the quiet hallway, both recognizing they'd reached a crossroads. The pretend relationship that began with desperate necessity had evolved into something neither expected, genuine love threatening to upend everything they thought they knew about their lives. Keep watching. The devastating truth Evelyn hides will test everything Michael stands for. Victor struck on Tuesday morning, arriving at Carter's auto repair like a shark sensing blood. His Italian shoes clicked against oil-stained concrete as he surveyed Michael's domain with unconcealed disdain. "Do you know what you stumbled into?" Victor asked, voice carrying smooth menace. "That gala kiss." Evelyn's board interpreted it as emotional stability proof, evidence she could balance relationships with running a multi-billion-dollar company. Michael's hands slowed on the engine as Victor continued with surgical precision. Evelyn's previous relationships had been scrutinized by conservative board members. Whispers about her emotional fitness had grown louder through Victor's carefully planted rumors and strategic media leaks. She needed you, Carter. Convenient romance to shore up her image. Humble mechanic, devoted father playing the part perfectly. You're not salvation, you're a prop. The words hit like physical blows. Had every shared dinner been calculated? Every vulnerable moment performed? Michael thought of Sophie's refrigerator drawing, Evelyn's tears discussing exhaustion, her genuine laughter learning to change tires. Victor's final strike came wrapped in false sympathy. She's using you. When this serves its purpose, when her position's secure, you'll be discarded like every tool she's used climbing to the top. Silence filled the garage except for distant traffic and dripping oil. Michael's understanding of recent weeks tilted into shadow and doubt. Evelyn arrived, face pale with panic as she absorbed the toxic scene. Victor's predatory smile, Michael's stricken expression, poisonous atmosphere filling the space. Please, she begged, tears cutting through steel facade protecting her in countless boardrooms. Don't listen to him. For once I wasn't pretending. For once I was just me. But damage was done. Sophie appeared in the doorway, young face troubled as she absorbed adult tension. Her small voice cut through drama with devastating childhood clarity. Dad, is she family now, or just another person leaving? The question hung like a challenge, forcing Michael to confront not just his hurt, but Sophie's growing attachment. Their family's expanding hope for something larger than they dared imagine. Torn between Victor's calculated revelations and Evelyn's desperate pleas, Michael felt responsibility crushing down. He had to protect Sophie from another loss, another adult promising stability then disappearing. But Evelyn's tears felt too genuine for performance. I don't care about your company, he said finally, voice steady despite heart chaos. I don't care about board meetings or stock prices. I care about one thing. Are you honest with me? With us? For the first time in adult life, Evelyn dropped every wall, every defense, every barrier protecting her climb to the top. I want real life, Michael. I want to come home to people who see me, not the CEO. I want to help Sophie with homework and argue whose turn for dishes. I want something mattering more than market share. Victor watched with calculating eyes, already planning next moves regardless of resolution. Michael studied Evelyn's face. Mascara streaked, designer composure shattered, but eyes holding desperate honesty he'd never seen in corporate settings. This wasn't the polished executive from magazine covers. This was a woman stripped of pretense, asking to be loved for who she really was. If you choose this, he said slowly, choose us. There's no going back to that world. Sophie's been hurt before. I won't let it happen again. I know, Evelyn whispered. I'm terrified, but I'm more terrified of losing what we found. Sophie stepped forward, her 11-year-old wisdom cutting through adult complexity. Eve, do you want to be my family for real? Not because of business stuff, but because you love us? Evelyn knelt to Sophie's level, taking small hands in her manicured ones. More than anything I've ever wanted in my life. Then tell the mean man to go away, Sophie said simply. Family protects family. The moment crystallized everything. Evelyn stood facing Victor with renewed strength. Not corporate armor, but protective love for people who'd become her world. Get out, Victor. I resign from your games. Find another pawn. Victor's smile turned vicious. You'll regret this, Evelyn. Both of you will. After he left, silence stretched between them. Michael's garage had become a battlefield where futures were decided, where three people had chosen love over safety, family over fortune. What happens now? Michael asked. Evelyn looked around the humble space that had become more home than her penthouse ever was. Now we find out if love really is enough. 3 weeks later, Evelyn appeared at Riverside Park wearing jeans and sneakers, her hair in a simple ponytail. No corporate armor, no designer mask, just a woman choosing authenticity over image. I resigned from Ross Enterprises, she told Michael as Sophie ran with her dragon kite. Victor can have the company. I kept personal investments, sold everything else. I'm not a CEO anymore. The words bridged the gap between their worlds. Michael searched her face for regret, but found only peace he'd never seen before. Sophie welcomed Evelyn back effortlessly, teaching her proper kite-holding technique, how to feel wind through string tension, running just fast enough to keep the dragon dancing. Evelyn's unguarded laughter rang across the park, genuine, free from careful boardroom modulation. At the garage, Evelyn arrived in work clothes, asking to learn. Michael taught her oil changes, tire pressure, honest communication between hands and mechanical systems. She ruined silk blouses, learning basic repairs, laughter echoing through the shop like music. Sophie started calling her Eve with casual family affection. Evelyn helped with homework, listened to elementary drama, learned complex braiding patterns 11-year-olds considered socially essential. Victor made one final desperate move, contacting financial reporters with stories about Evelyn's forced removal and calculated romance gone wrong. Business journals painted her as a fallen executive chasing inappropriate love. But when reporters gathered outside the garage demanding statements, Michael stood beside Evelyn rather than behind her. His words were simple, unpolished by media training, but carrying absolute truth. She's not a fallen CEO. She's the woman who helps my daughter with math homework and burns pancakes Sunday mornings because she's still learning to cook for people she loves. She's family. Sophie appeared beside them, small hand finding Evelyn's, voice clear and certain. Eve makes Dad smile again. That's what matters. The press conference didn't follow corporate protocols. No prepared statements or talking points. Instead, reporters witnessed genuine affection rather than manufactured publicity. Financial journalists found themselves writing about love instead of stock prices, family choosing each other over business scandal. Victor's gambit crumbled as investors saw truth. Evelyn Ross had never needed the company for completeness. She'd needed what Michael and Sophie offered, worth measured not by quarterly profits, but by willingness to show up daily for people loving her, not for what she provided, but who she chose to be. That evening, in their quiet kitchen sanctuary, Evelyn noticed Sophie's drawing still hanging on the refrigerator, 3 figures holding hands, smiling, surrounded by ordinary life details. This time studying it, she whispered with wonder, maybe it wasn't pretend after all. Michael took her hand, calloused fingers intertwining with hers, steady as everything about him. No, Eve, this is real. This is what we choose to build together. Their wedding 6 months later was small. Courthouse ceremony followed by backyard celebration. Sophie served as maid of honor, proudly announcing to anyone listening that she'd gained the best sister in the world. Evelyn sold her penthouse, moving into Michael's modest house that actually felt like home. She learned to garden with Sophie, discovered joy in simple Sunday mornings, found fulfillment in PTA meetings and soccer practices that her former colleagues would consider beneath notice. The garage prospered with Evelyn's business insights and Michael's mechanical expertise. They hired additional staff, expanded services, but kept the honest, family atmosphere that made Carter's auto repair special. Victor eventually disappeared from their lives, his corporate machinations losing power over people who'd chosen love over ambition. Occasionally, business magazines mentioned Evelyn's dramatic fall from grace, but she only smiled, knowing they couldn't measure the wealth she'd truly found. Sophie's original drawing remained on the refrigerator, joined by others, family vacations, birthday celebrations, everyday moments that rich executives pay fortunes trying to capture. The simple crayon sketch had become prophecy fulfilled. Some evenings, watching Michael teach Sophie to change oil, while Evelyn documented everything with her camera, the 3 of them marveled at how far they'd traveled from that desperate moment in a Manhattan ballroom. A fake kiss had led to real love. Corporate warfare had yielded to family peace. And 3 lonely people had discovered that sometimes the best things come disguised as disasters. Their story proved that courage to choose authenticity over appearance, love over status, family over fortune, can transform not just individual lives, but entire futures. In their small house filled with laughter, honest work, and unconditional acceptance, they'd built something more valuable than any corporate empire. They'd built home. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to our Heart Stories for more powerful emotional journeys about love, family, and the courage to choose what truly matters.